Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are here at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, and we are honored to have two members of the Israel 365 team who are here with us. We have, of course, Rabbi Elie Mischel, and we have Rabbi Rami Goldberg with us. So we're going to talk about Israel's biblical rights to her ancient homeland. And those of you who have been following PJTN, you know we have been talking about this issue from day one. God made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that is an eternal covenant. He told them, I'm going to be your God to you and your descendants forever. I'm going to make you like the stars of the heavens and the sands on the seashore. And all the land you see, I'm giving it to you and your descendants forever. And so we are watching, since October 7th, we're watching our current administration slowly back away from supporting Israel. First coming out and saying, oh yeah, Israel's going to finish the job. We're going to let them finish the job. And now, all of a sudden, we're talking about dividing the land of Israel. And we all know what's going to end up happening. And so we have two rabbis, not just one, two rabbis to substantiate the claim I just made. Rabbi Elie, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here at the NRB and for sharing your message, Rabbi Rami. Rabbi Elie, I saw a video presentation that you did in Dallas. It brought me to tears to see your appreciation, your response to the evangelical Christian community. You know, evangelical Christians are your loyal supporters. They've always been. And the reason why is because we believe in what the Bible says. It is a biblical truth. It is a biblical covenant. We cannot separate the land of Israel from the covenant. And when the nations of the world rise up, start saying, oh no, we have to have a two-state solution. No. So tell us a little bit about, what Israel is having to face right now. Now that it's not just our president, there are prime ministers and presidents of other nations who are now starting to side with the United States and get behind this effort for this two-state solution.
So I'll be honest with you, we knew this was coming. From the very beginning, it was like, I even had a bet with somebody in the office, like how many days until the president and all these other nations immediately start demanding a ceasefire and pressuring Israel. Like, how long do we have? Is it a week? 2 weeks? Meaning they slaughtered 1,200 people, murdered more Jews in one day than any day since the Holocaust. They killed 40 Jewish babies, raped Jewish women before executing them. Like, how many does that buy us? 2 weeks? Like, how long until the world forgets? So we knew this was coming, but the way this is progressing now, the unbelievable speed at which President Biden is going from supporting Israel to unilaterally declaring a Palestinian state, which would mean the death of Israel. And let's be honest and very clear about that. This is very, very real. I live in Efrat, which is about 500 yards from Bethlehem. So if Bethlehem became a Palestinian state, and I had now a terrorist state like Gaza, like a Hamas state, 500 yards from my house, what does that mean for me and my wife and my 3 daughters and my son? Right? This is a matter of life and death. And President Biden is willing to do this and to sell Israel down the river so he can maybe win Michigan and make the Muslims of Dearborn, Michigan happy. That's actually what this is about. It's so astounding and so shocking, but I guess we don't cease to be shocked. It's like we're used to being shocked at this point.
Right.
Every day it's unbelievable what's happening.
Right. We are a far cry from who we used to be under former President Trump. When he moved the embassy to Jerusalem, when he declared that the Golan Heights belonged to the Jewish people, when he announced Judea and Samaria as part of the biblical homeland. This is a shocker. It's not really a shocker for us because we knew that this was going to be, we're going to start out saying, oh no, we're 100% behind Israel, but now we're withholding weapons, we're withholding ammunition, we're threatening Israel. We're not going to send you any ammunition to fight this war if you don't do what we say.
Even worse than that, is that, and I don't know if people put these pieces together, but there are many beautiful sons and husbands who are not coming home because of American pressure. Meaning, we know people personally who didn't have to die, but they died in battle because Israel, under American pressure, could not bomb it from above because they might kill a civilian potentially. What a civilian would still be doing there after all the warnings, and Israel's helping them all leave. So instead of doing it in a way where they could kill the terrorists without putting our boys' lives at risk, we have to send our guys into the most frightening and terrifying situations. We know. One of Rabbi Rami's neighbors, their son was lost, and he didn't have to die. And so when we think about President Biden, this is not theoretical. This is not just a question of pressure here. We lost our friends, and we lost our friends' children because of this. And so we are fuming. We are angry beyond belief.
So Rabbi Rami, tell us your perspective from where you sit.
Just to give a little bit more, to the story, we have our friends, the Erlies, who live in Ramat Beit Shemesh, which is the biblical city where David and Goliath had their famous battle. It's just down the road from my house, and they have their son. Rather than they had cleared out the building already, and they were planning on just leveling the building, and they said, "Let's do one more check." And as he went into to check, he was shot. And this is someone I have an 18-year-old, and Benjamin was just a few years older, so he was really one of my son's role models. And I have a daughter who had to go visit her friend who was sitting shiva, who was mourning during the week of mourning. My daughter is 12 years old. What 12-year-old goes to a house of mourning is usually for the old people, right? We go there. Our grandparents pass away, and we mourn them, and somewhat celebratory at that point in life. But here it's the most horrific thing, and it's all because we're sitting here saying, okay, let's find the most humane way to deal with it. The most humane way to deal with it is to level things and not let our boys be on the front lines.
That's exactly right, and that's what has to happen. Israel should go in to Gaza, and of course we know the Israeli military is unlike any other military in the world. What military do you know drops leaflets, sends text messages to warn the people, the citizens, get out of Dodge? I mean, what army do you know is going to do that? It doesn't happen. So, Rabbi Elie, you were getting ready to elaborate on what Rabbi Rami just said.
Yeah, no, these are questions of life and death that are happening every day. I'll give you another example. Because of American pressure, Israel is being forced to send trucks filled with aid and food and supplies into Gaza every day. Sounds like a very nice thing, but Hamas still rules parts of Gaza. The moment these trucks cross into Gaza, they're immediately taken by Hamas, and we are essentially resupplying our enemies. And we are giving them the ability to hold out longer, which means more dead and Jewish boys and girls. It's insane. So can you imagine America in World War II sending in aid trucks to Nazi Germany and into Japan, right? Giving them aid so that they can be stronger and fight us for longer? But it's absolutely crazy.
Israel gets told, we're going to withhold your ammo, but they're bringing it across. I heard that there was some of the freight that was coming in had some of the terrorists that were coming in also being shipped in crates to fight. This is unbelievable that this goes on, and that this administration continues to turn a blind eye to what's happening. Rabbi, what are your thoughts about what's happening with Israel, with the administration, the current policy that is happening? And why, biblically, should Christians be speaking out about this issue right now? And what America, because we're going to judge. Genesis 12:3. I will bless those who bless you and curse them and curses you. And the next line, if translated into Hebrew, would say, and he who ignores you, I will utterly destroy. We can't even ignore our Jewish brethren. We can't ignore Israel's plight, ladies and gentlemen. That's why what PJTN is doing in having these two rabbis come and speak about this issue and our biblical duty, our biblical mandate to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. We're fighting for truth and justice. Rabbi.
Yeah, so one of the things that we are launching at this point, and we're working on every level, both with Christians, with different people within government to advocate, is something that we're calling and we're launching called Keep God's Land. And this is the biblical right of the Jewish people to this land. We've tried for many years to have one state solution, two states. We had a state of Gaza for the last 15 years. And exactly, we see it's not something that has worked. So why don't we try God's approach? God's approach was, this is the land that belongs to the Jewish people, and that's something that we see very clearly hundreds of times throughout the Bible. This is not it's not just there's some verse tucked away in the back of the Bible that nobody ever reads, but start from the beginning to the end. It's something that we see over and over again, and I think we're seeing a fight between. It's not just the Jewish people, but it's the Jews and Christians together, where we're fighting this secular humanism on the other side, and they just want to go ahead and break that down, break those bonds, those family bonds, break down the society, so that way there can be anarchy, and we don't need to have morality, we don't need to have family structures, we don't need to, and I think that's something that we're seeing, which is a biblical war.
I think about what Hashem said, that he would wage war against Amalek from generation to generation. And if we remember, ladies and gentlemen, 2005, there was a two-state. The world tried a two-state solution. Israel gave up the Gaza Strip. And look at where it has gotten them. They have had to endure bomb attack, missile attack after missile attack, terrorist threats throughout the state. And are we any better off? We're actually worse than we were back then when Israel made the gesture, okay, world, we'll do this. We'll sacrifice our people again. And what does Israel get in return?
Exactly. You mentioned Amalek. It's actually incredibly relevant to our time. Where does Amalek come from? It was Esau. He married the daughter of Ishmael, and their grandson is Amalek. So when the powers of Ishmael and Esau come together, you get Amalek. Now, who are Ishmael and Esau? Ishmael is the father of the Islamic world. So when you have the Islamic world on the one hand, that's Ishmael, and then who is Esau? Right? Esau is the father of Western civilization. So when these two enemies come together, so on the one hand, radical jihadists together with secular progressives from the West, when they join together and battle the people of Israel, that's essentially Amalek. It's their forces, those two forces coming together. We are fighting a war unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, when you think about how crazy it is that Esau is helping Ishmael, that secular progressives, LGBTQ groups are marching for Hamas. If they would go to Gaza, they would be dead within 5 minutes, because Hamas and jihadists, they're not into LGBTQ, right? They're not into all these people. So why are they supporting them? The people who would actually slaughter them. Why are they supporting them?
Exactly.
Because they share a common hatred. And what is that hatred of? It's not just the Jewish people. Their common hatred is really more accurately the Bible. Right? How so? We know that Muslims hate, right? They believe in God. They are monotheists, but they don't like the Bible. They reject the Bible. And that's particularly dangerous. If you believe in God but don't believe in the Bible, that means that anything you do, you can give the stamp of approval from God.
Right.
Raping women? Oh, that's fine. That's all for Allah, right? All of these things. Killing Jewish babies? It's all for Allah. So they hate the Bible because it restrains them. That's the Islamic jihadists. And the secular progressives hate the Bible because that's what's standing in their way or taking over all of Western civilization.
Right.
So so they come together because their common enemy is the Bible and the people of the Bible, Jews and Christians. And so this is why, there's a common phrase that Hamas uses, and it actually used to be on their old flags in Arabic, which says, First we kill the Saturday people, then we kill the Sunday people. First we kill the Jews, and then we kill the Christians, right? Why do they? It's not about Gaza. This is about
Friday people.
Exactly.
The Friday people.
The Friday people will first
attacked.
kill the Saturday people, and then once they're done with the Jews, they'll go and they'll kill the Christians. Which is why all these pro-Hamas protesters were crashing, Christmas tree lightings in Rockefeller Center and disrupting Christmas tree lightings all over America. What does that have to do with Gaza? It has everything to do with it, because it's not just about Gaza.
Right.
It's a battle against the Bible. And Jews and Christians have got to wake up and realize that we have to fight back.
Amen. One of the campaigns that PJTN has, we're fighting the propaganda war. And we're doing that through our award-winning documentary films and television programs, our Focus on Israel shows. But we're also fighting the war, the propaganda war, in the classrooms, K through 12. We've seen the higher ed campuses. We've seen that for years. But one thing we didn't see was what they're doing in K through 12s. We have lost our children, and we're indoctrinating them. We found this over a decade ago when we found a textbook, Pearson published textbook, that legitimized Palestinians blowing themselves up in a Jerusalem restaurant because they were waging a war against Israeli government policies and army actions. And I saw it back then. I started telling people, sounding the alarm, showing the evidence of what was in that textbook, and telling people, if we don't get rid of these textbooks, we're going to lose our children, we're going to lose our country, we're going to lose the next generation of support for the state of Israel. And I just recently read an article about the education situation in Israel, that now there was a member of Knesset, Galit, who made a statement also
Very
that
powerful.
she feels like she has been denied her identity. And ladies and gentlemen, the same thing is happening to our children. Why? Why are Israeli kids and American kids, the Judeo-Christian nations, the Jewish nation, and America, a Judeo-Christian nation, why are they targeting our two countries?
Can I share with you the most frightening statistic? And I've seen a lot of frightening statistics. This is the worst and most frightening statistic that I have seen possibly in my entire life. There's a Harvard-Harris poll that showed that over 50% of young Americans between 18 and 24 support Hamas and their goal of destroying the state of Israel. Now, let's unpack that for a moment. That means that more than half of young people in America have chosen to side with a genocidal terrorist group that slaughters babies and rapes women. Now, I'm actually much, much more concerned for the future of America than I am for Israel. God has made a lot of promises to Israel, and our young people, we're currently seeing our greatest generation.
Right.
What is happening right now, the heroes, right? Our kids are making us look like they are unbelievable.
We are total.
We are total wimps, but our kids, these young people, they're unbelievable. We're having it just like, my grandparents fought and my grandfathers both fought for, the American Army, World War II. They were America's greatest generation. Israel is experiencing that now. And on the other hand, their peers, the same age.
Right.
They're young people in America, more than half of them are somehow supporting is an Islamic jihadist terror group that would also want to kill them. They don't even. That I think is frightening for the future of America, and that's got to be a warning, the siren. Like what is happening in this country?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen also, I just read an article in Seattle, 7-year-olds were also being indoctrinated with this propaganda. They were chanting from the river to the sea. I'm like, what teacher teaches this kind of garbage or allows this to go on in a classroom in America? And also, Washington State, they just had a pro-Israel, pro-Holocaust legislation that was introduced, and they attached an amendment to it that basically supported the terrorist acts that were going on. I'm just thinking to myself, how do these people put a pro-Hamas amendment on a bill that they have the majority of support from the state legislature to pass on Holocaust education? How do we get it? How did they get away with this stuff?
Well, it is prophesied. This is the book of Obadiah is actually about this. The book of Obadiah speaks to the Edomites, which is Esau, which is Western civilization.
Yes.
And if you read there, it's the shortest book in the Hebrew Bible. It's only one chapter. Doesn't take very long, but if you read it closely, it talks there about how the leadership becomes foolish, and it talks about, and it's amazing. The commentators over the last several hundred years talk about how it's speaking to Western civilization that helps the Ishmaelites, that helps the Muslims, even as the Muslims are trying to kill them. They're helping the people who are trying to kill them. This sort of national self-suicide, right? This suicide, it's all in the book of Obadiah, and it's a frightening warning. And it's time to wake up. We have to read the Bible because this has all been said.
This is my favorite book to quote from. That Obadiah was told that in the last days, Hashem is going to wipe out the nation of Edom, or the Edomites, because they stood by while their brother Jacob was held in captivity, and they did nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is why it is so important that we as Christians stand with our Jewish brethren, defend the state of Israel against the rise of global anti-Semitism and anti-Israel hatred. If we don't speak up, people know the Bible, just like Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, not to speak is to speak, not to act is to act. God will not hold us guiltless. We're not going to be able to use the excuse that the German Christians used. Oh, we didn't know this was going on. Oh, yes, you did. Everybody knew what was going on. And we can't sit back and say, doesn't affect me. Yes, it does, ladies and gentlemen. And we've had two rabbis here with Israel 365. Where can they find more information about you guys, your organization?
Very simple, Israel365.com.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Rabbi, good to see you, but great to meet you. I think we're going to become fast friends. Whatever we can do to help. God bless you.
Thanks
God bless you so much.